Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. We finally got the next big update, and it's obviously Fear itself. This update is packed with a bunch of things to test and new content, which is the World Boss Legend stage for Gore. Unfortunately, I'm waiting on a bunch of different things to finish my testing, such as Hulk's potential to see his level 70 to 80 and T4 difference. I'm also waiting to unlock the World Boss Legend Gore, since I have to do Mephisto, Ultron, and Null first, and I'm also waiting for timeline to reset so my challenger buffs are gone, because those kind of skew the results in PvP testing just a little bit. But I know people are eager to find out which uniforms are a great upgrade or not, at least relative to one another, and what content they excel in. So I made this video just to quickly cover what my first impressions were when I tested the characters in both PvE and PvP. Keep in mind that this isn't in-depth testing as you're probably used to on my channel. It's kind of very quick testing to give you an idea of where the characters stand. If you want that additional information, I'll obviously be including it in the standalone videos for each of the characters. So that would be things like build guide or recommendations, as well as things like the different mechanics that the uniforms provide. I also haven't done a crystal coupon giveaway in a while now, so I'll be doing one for this video, and if you want to be eligible for that, you just have to join my Discord channel. You can find the link in the description for this video. Join that, and then just leave a comment on this video with your Discord name. So Hulk is the T4 for this update, and he also got a new uniform, so most people are wondering whether the new uniform vastly outshines the old one. And at least in PvE, it does give him a massive improvement, since I was able to clear stage 9 of Null over 2 minutes faster with the new uniform compared to the old one. For those that have already picked up the uniform and want to know a rotation for him, you basically use the 3rd skill, cancel it right away into the 5th skill, you delay cancel that after he hits the ground with the hammer, and then you go into the 4th skill. Once you have your ultimate skill, you basically use it right after the 5th skill, and then when he hits the ground with the ultimate skill, you cancel that into the 4th skill. His offensive capabilities have improved so much with this new uniform that I was even able to take down Dormammu on the combat type advantage day using just a CTP of regen and with over 3 minutes remaining. Although Hulk is the standout character for this update due to his T4, I would say that the next character following him would be Juggernaut. Similar to Hulk, Juggernaut is good in both PvE and PvP, and as you can see here, with a bare bones build and no damage proc, I was able to take down a stage 99 of Thanos with over 2 minutes remaining. Because the all defense down applies versus Proxima, I was able to complete that in under 60 seconds, and the rotation that I used was 3, wait a little bit to take some damage, and then go into the 4th skill, delay cancel that after he hits the ground with the hammer, and then go into the 5th skill. When you have your awakening unlocked, you simply use that after the 3rd skill and before the 4th skill, and you can instant cancel it. The 3rd character in line in terms of PvE performance is Titania. I was able to clear both Thanos and Proxima about anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds slower than Juggernaut, but you do have to keep in mind that I wasn't using her leadership, which can make a big difference if I did use her. And my build is a little bit worse than Juggernaut's, so it's very possible that she is actually second in line in terms of the new characters or upgrades or uniforms, specifically for PvE. The rotation for the character is very similar to Juggernaut's. You use the 3rd skill and wait a little bit to accumulate some damage before going into the 4th skill, which you delay cancel after she touches the ground, into the 5th skill. Once you have the awakening skill, you simply input it between the 3rd and 4th skill, and similar to Juggernaut and Absorbing Man, as you'll see soon enough, you can insta-cancel the awakening skill. For those that are concerned with the Alliance Battle Extreme meta, I'm pretty sure that the character is now the go-to for the leadership spot for the Combat Female Day, since she can score around 8 million for me with basically no build. I'm fairly certain that if I used a proc CTP such as an Energy or Rage, and had Uruz and an ISO 8 set, I should easily be able to hit 9 million with the character alone. Obviously, for this particular season, I had to swap into Valkyrie, since the character doesn't have silence, but only has burn and paralysis. Another nice thing with Titania on the team is that you can swap between Sif and Valkyrie to use their awakening, and Valkyrie does benefit from the passive buff that Titania gives to strong tagged characters. Sadly, Sif doesn't have that, so it's just Valkyrie that gets it. Also keep in mind that She-Hulk is due for an update soon, since her show is around the corner, and she can potentially take over Titania's spot if she gets a good enough upgrade. Based on the patch notes, I thought that Absorbing Man would be kind of the character that leaned more into PvE, since he doesn't have any iframe ignore or counter skills, and his damage accumulation is the only one that builds up with damage dealt instead of damage taken. However, based on the tests that I did, it seems like he was the last on the list in terms of PvE performance. As you can see from the clip, I'm about 30 seconds or possibly even more behind Titania's clear time on both Thanos and Proxima. The rotation that I used is to use the third skill and delay cancel it after he hits the ground with the hammer, then go into your fifth skill, which you delay cancel about a second after he goes up and the hammers start appearing from under the ground, and then you just go into the fourth skill. When you have your awakening skill unlocked, you can basically use it right after you delay cancel the third skill, and that skill can be instant cancelled. On the PvP side, Hulk is clearly the standout character of the group because he can reach T4, and it gives him a massive improvement in terms of his survivability and the damage that he can deal. I clearly don't have him at T4, and I don't have his artifact either, but regardless, even at T3, I found that he was actually really strong and was able to take down most of the top metas in Timeline, including characters like Thanos, Spider-Man, and sometimes even Warlock and Emma. Depending on the ban list, sometimes Sentry and Doom can also appear on the Timeline team, and he is capable of taking out those characters as well. Without going into too much detail, the one thing that I can say is that the character is kind of fairly dependent on his fourth skill, which is the iframe ignore skill, to take down the opponents, since his other skills can sometimes be a little bit slow or possibly interrupted. Because of this, the character is susceptible to dying if that fourth skill isn't available versus characters that iframe a lot, and for many people that could be a disappointment since they probably wanted the character to be overpowered or very strong and very difficult to take down, considering the steep cost to get the character to T4. Also, because Hulk is a combat type, he does face difficulty in the current Timeline meta, since it's kind of dominated by blast types like Warlock and Emma, and even characters like Spider-Man that have a type disadvantage also have the possibility of taking out Hulk because he can ignore the mitigation that Hulk has due to his passive, and Spider-Man also has that villain damage bonus. So basically, if you're looking to T4 Hulk to be one of your staple or main characters for Timeline, you're likely not going to be too enthused or happy about his performance, since the current meta is dominated by characters that essentially counter him. But despite this, I would hardly say that the character is in a bad place or bad in PvP, especially because he will excel in other things like Alliance Conquest, and on weeks that characters like Warlock or Emma are banned, he should be a strong addition to the team and quite possibly a staple character. I found that from the group of characters, Juggernaut was the second in line for PvP performance, but he did suffer from some of the same issues that Hulk had, with the meta being dominated by characters that counter combat types, and that his fourth skill is heavily reliant to take out the opponents. And one additional negative thing is that it doesn't have penetration on it, so sometimes you might struggle to take out opponents that have a lot of invincible or have an invincible build such as a CTP of Authority. As you saw, he does end up dying versus strong blast characters like Warlock, but you also have to keep in mind that the build that I'm currently initially testing with is pretty basic. I don't have any Urus, my ISO 8 set isn't awakened, and I don't really have a CTP. I'm just using an invincible and guard break immunity, custom gear or obelisk, and I don't have his artifact. Once I get those things, he should be able to put up a little bit of a fight. Oddly enough, even though Titania does have an iframe ignore counter skill, she was kind of the last in the group in terms of PvP performance. Some of the reasons for this is that her skills are kind of slow, or they have slow animations, meaning that she can be cancelled out of them. and because her skills have somewhat low skill priority, meaning that the opponent can cast theirs first. Besides this, her healing mechanic is a little bit questionable since she needs to get hit in order for her to heal, and that isn't guaranteed. It's at a 45% chance of occurring. Ironically enough, the character that I thought would orient more towards PvE ended up being better in PvP, and although I rank him third in terms of the character's performance in PvP, he was able to take down Warlock, so he could potentially be right after Hulk. I won't really know for sure until I have the characters fully built up, since like I mentioned, I'm basically just running very basic builds on them, such as just an Invincible and Guardbreak Immunity Obelisk, and no Urus, no ISO 8 sets, or possibly not Awakened ones, and no artifacts at all. But as you can see, Absorbing Man is actually pretty good and performs pretty consistently. Usually opens with the 5th skill, and even if that gets interrupted, the damage continues, allowing him to stack his damage with the 4th skill, which is usually the next skill that he uses. And because that has super guard break, it potentially locks down the opponent, taking massive damage. The 3rd skill also causes his damage to spike a lot, since he gets damage accumulation stacked onto the 5 and 4, which usually allows him to take out very strong opponents. That's all I got for the quick overview. Again, if you want to see the detailed breakdowns for each of these characters, make sure to watch the follow-up videos where I'll have the full build for the characters, as well as my build recommendations for both PvE and PvP, as well as more detailed skill rotations. If you want to get an idea of what CTPs I'm testing for these characters, I'm mostly just running a mighty CTP of regeneration for all 4, just to see how those do, and I might adjust them accordingly if they don't do that well. Again, if you want to be considered for the Crystal Coupon giveaway, make sure to join my Discord channel and then leave your Discord name as a message in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, then please consider liking it, sharing, and subscribing, since it really helps me out, and then I can make more videos like this. I always appreciate people taking the time to watch these, so thank you, but the video is now over.